Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Quick programming note. Instead of doing our NXT review tomorrow, we're going to be doing it tonight. A rare opportunity to see us doing a show, an NXT show, at night, because we don't do that anymore.
We don't.
Next day.
Steve, thank you for accommodating my schedule.
Of course. Absolutely.
And doing it tonight, I appreciate it. We'll still be doing AEW tomorrow evening at our usual hour. No changes there.
Tomorrow during the day, I'm going to be chilling, probably watching The Wire instead of doing our NXT review. So awesome for me. The Adventures of Stringer Bell and Jimmy McNulty. That's cool. Anyways,
so you get some out of it too, huh?
Any opportunity I get to just chill during a daytime. I like mixing. Every once in a while, mixing things up is kind of nice.
It is.
I have to tell the Enforcer. Hoping maybe the Enforcer's here. I got to tell him no GTA on my stream tonight. MF Steve here. Then I didn't.
The Enforcer was here earlier.
Speaking of the Enforcer, you guys need to. I honestly, AAA Rey Reyes might have, in my 43 years of existence, I can think of one other time that I laughed as hard as I did, and it was when I saw Ace Ventura 2: When Nature Calls.
When he climbs in the theaters, was the rhinoceroses behind?
When he climbs out of the rhinoceros's asshole. I think I laughed harder at Rey Reyes than I did that. I think this actually eclipses that, because I found like a new like laughing sound that I'd never heard before that came out of my mouth. Mm-hmm. And it was all because Enforcer picked, we were doing our predictions. The Big Red February predictions thing is on. We were all predicting who was going to win the Rey Reyes actual match. Mm-hmm. And he decided to go with the to be determined, to be announced participant, thinking it might be a current guy like a Killer Cross.
Also, let's point this out. Earlier in the night, there was a TBA competitor who ended up winning the Reina de Reyes match earlier. It was Taya Valkyrie. So thinking, the TBA in this particular match might win this one as well.
Yeah. And so it was a good pick. It was a good pick.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, it ended up being a hilariously bad pick. And the shenanigans that ensued afterwards can be found in supercut form over at Friendo Club TV right now. It's the new channel we got.
Yes.
Friendo Club TV. Go check it out. We'll link the description. We'll link it in the description here. It is hilarious. It just broke me. It absolutely broke me. There were guttural noises coming out of my mouth because I was trying to gasp for air and laugh at the same time. And it was so funny.
It was something else. else.
So go check that out. Yes. We're on the road here, of course, to WrestleMania.
Well, you mean roads to WrestleMania?
We're on the roads to WrestleMania. All sorts of Easter eggs over the past week or so, ever since it was revealed that Cody Rhodes had left AEW. All signs seem to point to him being in WWE at some point in the very near future. Apparently, according to somebody in our chat, Pat McAfee basically said today on his show that he is signed. I have not verified that information.
Nor have I. So
somebody said in chat.
Until we could independently verify that.
Right. Somebody who has actually re-signed, just briefly, with the WWE. According to Fightful Select today, they reported. Go check out Fightful Select.
Yes.
AJ Styles, a big money deal.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Like $3 million or something like that. So he's still going. Big deal for WWE. I wonder if he was the guy. I know in the Wrestling Observer newsletter last week, Meltzer had mentioned another person beyond Owens and Zayn with a big name with a contract coming up soon that AEW had hoped maybe they'd come into play. WWE scooped that. Big money for AJ.
Yeah.
Seems like he's probably going to finish his career.
It seems likely. And when Meltzer mentioned that, the first name that popped in my head was AJ Styles. So, again, not confirmation that's who it was, but, first name that popped in my head.
Yeah. Turns out, looks like that's who it was. So Cody Rhodes, WWE social media over the past couple days have been getting really silly with the idea that Cody's coming to town. And last night, that seemed to spill over into the actual programming. There's all sorts of silly Easter eggs I mean, let's see if we can run them down
so
here.
Most prominently, it was during Miz's bit when he was introducing what turned out to be Logan Paul. Said the person that's going to be my tag team partner comes from like a family of athletes. Cody fits that bill. Referred to him as dashing. Well, that was Cody's old gimmick in WWE. Those are the two most prominent ones there.
Edge referred to a possible opponent as undeniable, which is, of course, a popular Cody promo from late 2019.
And also, when recapping Edge's promo on Twitter, WWE's Twitter account says reference Smoke and Mirrors, which was Cody's old theme song.
Yeah. So they're definitely. Is there any precedent for? And I'm sure there is. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm trying to think of it as well. So generally speaking, when somebody signs with WWE, the instruction from WWE to that person is don't say anything.
Yeah.
Like recently, we had heard that Roxy, former Ring of Honor champion, women's champion, had signed with WWE. Booker T seemed to confirm that, but then he backtracked and said, no, I didn't say that. And so you got to think that's probably WWE saying, hey, we're not supposed to be getting this stuff out there. But it's a different thing when WWE itself is being sly and crafty with this, trying to build up anticipation. At this point, given that we know that it's not Miz's partner, that's Logan Paul. Edge, I would have to believe, is going to be AJ Styles.
Yeah.
I mean, he referenced Phenomenal also last night, actually winked when he did it.
Well, he referenced both AJ, Finn, and Damian Priest.
Okay.
As well as Cody.
And that's right. And so what do you think the actual set, or are they just sort of waiting to see how some stuff lands, perhaps?
Yeah, because I think we were talking about this in chat before we started. Someone mentioned Kevin Owens' road to WrestleMania. It potentially has 3 different roads.
Yes.
It could be him and Austin. It could be him and Seth challenging for tag team titles, or it could be him versus Seth. All those options are plausible. I think with Edge, they might not know exactly who they want him to face. They just want him on the card at WrestleMania. So they have him come out and essentially do an open challenge, and then they'll figure that all out later. With Cody, I mean, I think once we know what happens with the Damian Priest Finn match next week for the U.S. title, we'll get some clarity as far as what may happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to have a match for Cody at WrestleMania. It's for the U.S. title, especially with Roman holding probably both Universal and WWE titles. The U.S. title on Raw is going to be week in and week out the top belt. And if they want to get Cody kind of in something resembling a world title scene, that's kind of the best they can do right now is put the U.S. title on him.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if that were to happen.
I think there's 2 scenarios that seem likely to me. And in fact, quick shout out, I did a Wrestle Juice video where I talk about like 5 or 6 of these scenarios, but there's 2 that sort of seem likely. One is exactly what you just said. Damian Priest maybe somehow next week. Because this match is happening with Finn next week, right?
Yeah.
Is that the situation?
Yeah.
Okay. Something happens. Damian retains, but maybe because commentary still talks about the 2 sides of Damian Priest, even though we haven't seen that over the past
Not so
like
much,
2 matches.
It kind of peaked out towards the end of last night. He did the thing.
Yeah, anytime there's any sort of aggressive movement from him can be interpreted that way, but usually they're really obvious about it.
Yeah.
But maybe that was intentional. Maybe it was meant to say, hey, he's trying his best. He heeded the words of Sonya Deville, and he's holding it in, and it's difficult for him, and it's starting to peak out a little bit. So maybe next week it fully just, because of how he's been trying to repress it, it just floods out, and he becomes just Damian. That side of him turns him bad guy, and that becomes his thing. He drops the name Priest. He just becomes Damian. Maybe he just destroys Finn Balor, keeps his title, and so you have a bad guy. Cody's going to have a babyface reaction when he comes back, regardless of where he is 6 months from now. When he comes back, he's going to be a babyface.
Yeah.
That it's an entire. As soon as he cuts a promo, it's going to turn.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen then.
When he just comes out to the song and shit, people are going to cheer because it's new. He's new. So and given that he dresses like Homelander, that title would look amazing with that gear of his. The other situation would just be by virtue of elimination, and that's if they get Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold, I decide to sign on the dotted line. I'm back for another match against Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens been running down Texas, and that's what our chatter was talking about earlier. There's a couple different scenarios. Kevin Owens can be in a tag situation with Seth Rollins, or he could fight Seth Rollins if that doesn't turn out, or he'll be in a match against the Rattlesnake. If he's in a match against the Rattlesnake, what's Seth Rollins going to do?
Maybe wrestle Cody Rhodes.
I think that's a distinct possibility. If that's the case, if they think that, we have a pretty good chance of getting Stone Cold for Kevin Owens, then we bring, Cody can be in for Seth Rollins. And perhaps, that's sort of what we're getting at. They're just waiting for these pieces to fall into place before they know what's the best situation for him.
That being said, I think for as far as Kevin Owens options right now, I'm really excited based on that match we saw last night where him and Seth were tagging together.
Yeah.
They're a really good tag team. They're an excellent tag team.
Good.
And they are a ton of fun to watch. That finishing sequence was awesome. Awesome. And to see them get a serious run with the tag titles, maybe see them be the ones that eventually split up RK Bro, that could be really fun.
I agree. I don't think there's like a bad situation here. Let's say if everybody's wrapped up in something, let's say Edge and AJ, let's say Seth and Kevin Owens, let's say Austin doesn't want to do a match. Let's say, I don't know, Damian, they don't want to turn Damian and they want to keep him the way he is. And they're like, no, we don't want to do the U.S. title thing with Cody. Where would Cody fall then?
Maybe Sammy's doing the thing with Knoxville.
My thought was nobody's actually said that Knoxville's going to wrestle.
That's true. He could go get a proxy essentially.
It's a bit of a leap, but they're both kind of Hollywood guys. That's a stretch right there. But I don't know. How cool would it be if Cody tries to incorporate some sort of jackass gimmick? Which is completely anti what he is. I know. But he shows up.
Well, I don't know. He put himself. He booked himself to go through a flaming table.
That is totally
he took a
true.
moonsault off the cage.
You are completely right.
He took that cutter off the top of the ladder. I don't know. Maybe he's teasing this jackass turn the whole time.
When I was thinking about that last night with Cody, has anybody in AEW put themselves through the kind of hell? Well, Kenny probably.
He got Kenny and Mox.
Kenny and Mox were pretty fairly wrecked.
Yeah.
Jericho
during was a bloody mess against Nick Gage.
Yeah. But coming off that cage, doing the fire spot, that match alone against Sammy Guevara, Cody's put himself through some shit for those fans in AEW.
He has.
And you know what? If he would just shut up, if he just wouldn't deliver any promos, he'd probably still be the biggest babyface in the company.
I know.
Blank checks from Tony Khan if he just didn't give that stupid promo about being, ending racism or whatever he was doing.
Prime Joy Beardy here in chat says, Hangman Page is getting there. Lol. Well, the last few weeks, his 3 matches since winning the title were all pretty bloody. So,
yeah, no, he's trying to catch up for sure. Yeah. He's trying to catch up.
Yeah, man, I don't know that blackout on top of the ring steps.
Yeah,
that was brutal.
Yeah, Darby. Yeah, there's a bunch of dudes there in AEW who are just up for that stuff. This is a great idea. Cyber Knight says Stephen Amell versus Cody for SummerSlam. Bring Stephen Amell back. Get some of that heels on stars.
Yeah.
Love
get
right
some,
there. But he
Duffy
comes
family
back as
wrestling
Jack Spade.
in WWE.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that'd be great. I don't know. Maybe he'll show up on SmackDown. The thing about SmackDown is there's nothing for Cody there besides maybe the Intercontinental Championship, and that would elevate their sagging mid card.
It would
quite a bit, especially if he does what he did last time he won the IC title, bring back the old school one with the white strap. Mm-hmm. That alone would elevate that title. Put it on Cody, and maybe just putting that title on Cody, you elevate everybody else, because then he's got a line of challengers that have already lost to Roman Reigns, and then he gets the leftovers.
But I guess the thing about that is that even on SmackDown, he's going to be overshadowed by Roman. And it depends what he and what WB want out of his potential run there. I mean, him going to Raw and win that U.S. title and kind of being week to week top champ.
Yeah, but he's going to be the thing is, I don't necessarily know that Brock is going to go anywhere. He might take some time off.
But yeah, he'll come
back. That Pat McAfee interview, he seems like he's thoroughly, and if you watch him, he is getting a kick out of being a face.
He is.
So Cody, I don't think it's a matter of him being overshadowed. We saw this with him in the world title in AEW. As long as he gets his own little island, and if he has the Intercontinental Island, I think he'll be fine as long as he doesn't really cross paths with Roman Reigns.
Another aspect of him going to Raw that might benefit WWE is having him on that show might help getting the ratings up a little bit.
Oh, that's totally true. I think oddly enough, their mid card is so loaded. I think that it would help him because it puts him up there with all those names.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they want somebody that can sort of elevate just a sagging mid card, because man, they do nothing with those people. How many times are we going to see Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Ricochet go at it?
I know.
In varying degrees of whatever.
I know.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Cody ends up. Mm-hmm. Will he show up on SmackDown because that's the A show? Or will he show up next week, perhaps on Raw? Maybe they have some sort of hard deadline for either we get Austin by, because the big tag match, the triple threat tag match, that's 2 weeks.
2 weeks, I believe they said, yeah.
That's right. Maybe that's sort of their hard out for, okay, if we don't have them by then we know for sure we're going to go in the direction of Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins as the tag, challengers or whatever.
Yeah. If Owens and Seth end up winning those tag titles in a couple of weeks, then we're going to have pretty clear idea of where they're going to go for WrestleMania with Owens, and everything might very well fall into place after that.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a break here to get a quick word in from our sponsor, BetterHelp. So, Larson.
Yes.
I'm sure you know that relationships often take work. A lot of us will drop everything and go out of our way to help someone we care about, but how often do we give ourselves that same treatment?
BetterHelp is here to remind us that you got to take care of the most important relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. Several years ago, I started dealing with severe anxiety, and it was then that I learned firsthand how important it was to take care of myself and talk to a therapist. But I also learned that it can be really tough to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp's online therapy makes that process of finding a therapist much more convenient by offering video, phone, and even live chat therapy sessions, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours.
Remember that you are your greatest asset, so invest as much time in yourself as you do the others in your life. Check out our sponsor at BetterHelp, and right now, Going In Raw listeners can get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw.
That's BetterHelp.com/raw.
I don't know, man. I thought Raw was fine last night. I mean, there's always the caveat of it's not must-see TV.
No.
It's not urgent viewing, and as long as it's 3 hours and has probably a solid 45 minutes of recap, and filler.
At least. Well, especially an episode like this one right after a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I know.
So chock full of recaps.
There's so much recap.
We say every time, and so much of how our enjoyment of Raw is so much dictated by our viewing experience. When we were doing it live and doing the recap afterwards, the show wasn't very good then, but also the viewing aspect of it wasn't optimal. If you have to sit and watch Raw live and just have your focus completely dedicated to Raw as it's happening live,
it's tough.
It's not an enjoyable viewing experience.
It's tough.
It's
yeah.
not. If
I was. Yeah.
You were
Go
saying
ahead.
beforehand that you were watching it, but also doing things while you're watching it. If you had to, focus your attention on it, you could. Otherwise, during all the recaps, commercials, you can do other things. For about half the show, I just sat and watched it live on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And so, even though there's aspects of the show that I enjoyed, it felt long because I couldn't fast forward through stuff I'd already seen. I couldn't fast forward through the commercials. Now, like the first 40 minutes and the last hour, I was able to do that. And so that was much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bummer that so much your viewing experience is predicated on how you actually watch it, not the quality of the show itself.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, I thought it was relatively enjoyable. I was telling you about how I watched it, beforehand, is because I watch the content as soon as they throw to a commercial or a recap. I'm not paying attention. I go and I'm doing other stuff. I'm making dinner. I'm cleaning up. I'm working. Whatever. I can't. I tried that one week and I texted you 20 minutes in. I was like, this is impossible. This is not a pleasant viewing experience.
Yeah.
So that being removed, the actual content of the show, I thought, yeah, it was a bit talk heavy, but I thought that by and large, I actually kind of dug Raw last night. I didn't think there was anything that was too egregiously bad. I mean, again, it's sort of, reliant on the participants involved, and they do have a very, very talented roster.
Yes.
And some of these matchups, I think are pretty darn cool. Yep. I love that we saw Tommaso Ciampa in tag action with Finn Balor last night. I thought that was cool. I thought he looked like $1 million out there. I thought that after the match, you can hear him mouth to Finn, well, that wasn't too bad. He seemed really happy with his match. He looks like he fits in there. I hope whatever this NXT stuff is. I mean, honestly, dude, if this is sort of the kind of bridge we can expect between 2.0 and main roster,
it's about as much as you can ask for, I think, at this juncture.
It's if we get more like transitionary stuff between the two brands, that's kind of cool. Then you're not shocked with this jolt of, oh God, they changed A, B, or C about this person. I kind of appreciate that. I wish that's how they did it before.
Yeah, me
but
too.
It is what it is.
The whole time.
Yeah. So hopefully Vince McMahon liked what he saw with Tommaso Ciampa. I thought he looked great on Raw. So yeah, how cool would that be? Tommaso Ciampa versus Cody, AEW versus NXT.
Ooh,
I don't think Vince would ever buy into that.
No, I don't think he would either. But it could be a fun match
for the nerdy fans. It kicked off with face Cowboy Brock Lesnar. So happy to be there.
Oh,
having little kids paw at his title, giving him high fives and stuff, taking selfies with people. He really, honestly, he stands up on the commentary table. He's into it. He really comes off as like an A champion. And that's one thing about Raw also that has, in my opinion, like going to like the Big E era, when we were all just sort of waiting for something cool to happen with Big E. And it's like, it sucks that they didn't. It really sucks. But it's like, man, they have an A-level champion right now. An A-level champion. And that alone makes Raw feel a bit more important. It's like, oh, it feels like not just, a runner-up to SmackDown.
No, I know it does. It's that, and it's also a reminder that they just do such a crap job of building up new stars.
Yeah.
On a consistent basis. There's Roman, there's Becky. They're doing that with Bianca now. But they just don't do it often enough. So, we've made the point several times over that. What are they going to do in 10, 15 years when the part-timers and legends they bring in now to pop ratings just can't do it anymore? Who are they going to fall back on for the nostalgia pops,
But the same thing. I mean, I don't know, man. I think that it's going to be, like, with time, everybody becomes more... This is one of those things where I think that with time... The thing is, the roster is so loaded right now.
It is.
That, like... In 10, 15 years, so many of these people are, number one, they're physically speaking, they're going to be able to just continue to keep going. And I don't know. Brock is one of those guys that when I look at Brock, I do sort of think about Vince changing NXT the way he did. And I think to myself, because Brock is just, he's so unique.
Yeah.
He is unique. There's not a lot of people that look like Brock.
Nope.
But you kind of understand, man, Vince wants more guys that look like A champions. Brock just looks like an A champion. And you got to go out and find those diamonds in the rough if you want more guys like that, I guess. I don't know. He's just otherworldly, this guy.
He really is. He really is. So he comes out, announces himself as new WWE champion. Before he gets too much further into his promo, he's interrupted by Paul Heyman. He walks out to the stage, does his introductory thing. And then Brock says, no, stop. That's as far as you're going to get. That's as far as I would go if I were you. And Heyman says, well, as the special counsel for the tribal chief, I do not suck in response to the crowd because they're chanting, you suck. Even Lesnar gets in on it.
Yeah.
He says he is the special counsel to the only real heavyweight champ in WWE, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, and he came out tonight out of love for his and Brock's 20 years of business and friendship together, because he knows that Brock is looking towards Mania, winner take all, except there is one roadblock in Brock's way. He might not even make it to Mania as WWE champ. He says, for the 20 years I took care of all the small details for you, you have to defend the title March 5th at Madison Square Garden, which means you're not even going to make it to WrestleMania as champ. So he says, thank you. If there's any other information I can give you, feel free to let me know. And Brock says, Paul, hey, I can still appreciate you even though you're being such a dick. He says, all right, I know where I'm supposed to be March 5th. And then Heyman says, yes, you're scheduled to defend the title against Lashley, but if Lashley can't make the match because he's past concussion protocol, I'll make sure to have another contender for you. And this was not the first reference to Lashley passing concussion protocol before the March 5th house show at Madison Square Garden. Even though Byron Saxton mentioned it later in the show, he said this match will happen if Lashley can pass protocol. However, it's not looking like he will. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of what he says.
They're trying to. Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to do a thing.
They're prepping everybody for somebody else to be fighting Brock.
Yeah, and I just kind of wonder if they're going to wait for it to announce his new opponent at the show to make it a surprise or something.
So this Madison Square Garden, that's just like a live event, right? It's like big Madison Square Garden house show type thing.
Yeah, which is cool that they're promoting stuff happening at house shows on TV. I wish they did that stuff more often.
I know. Madison Square Garden is incredibly expensive. They wouldn't just make this a network special or something, because I'm thinking that's a Revolution Day, isn't it?
That's the day before.
Oh, it's the day before. Revolution was the 6th. Okay.
Yeah. So then Brock says, hey, I'm doing just fine without you. But on Friday, you're gonna be standing in the ring with the tribal chief, demanding some acknowledgement, and that's where I'm gonna be as well. I'm coming to SmackDown to introduce to you and Roman the new reigning defending WWE champion, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's Heyman. It's kind of like, because I kind of feel like they've got a similar. I don't know. What's the difference between what do you call it? Somebody has like a high pitched voice and a low pitched voice. This pitch, right? Yeah,
it's pitch.
The timbre of his voice.
They're similar, but my God, when I couldn't tell the difference because I was listening to this in my car.
Yeah.
And I was like, he sounds exactly like Heyman. It's nuts. Anyways, Brock is such an entertainer.
He really is.
After that, we had Seth and Kevin Owens backstage. Seth's talking about the chamber match. Kevin walks up and they're both like, "Oh, can you feel it? He's breathing on my shoulder right now. I can feel him." So anyways, he asks about their path to WrestleMania, and Kevin Owens says, we have a path. We're the best tag team on Raw. We beat RK Bro on Raw. Seth says, last week we're going to beat RK Bro on Raw. Seth says, last week I beat Randy. Kevin Owens says, so we went to management, and when we win this tag match tonight, we're going to be added to the Raw tag title match in 2 weeks. Seth says, when we win that match, we're going to be Raw tag champions. And Kevin Owens says, then the Mania possibilities are endless. He says, maybe we'll challenge the Usos. He says, how about that for a path? He says, Mania is going to be stupendous. It's so good. The plan is so good. It almost makes it worthwhile that Mania is in that hellhole of Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. Their chemistry is fantastic.
It's off the charts.
It's really good. Then we got Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. Early on, the Street Profits send Alpha Academy out of the ring. Ford set up for a tope. Instead, Gable and Otis pull them out. And then Dawkins hits them with an awesome-looking tope. Instead, Raw rolls on. Eventually, Dawkins gets the hot tag, goes on to run against Gable, hits a corner splash, tags in Ford. They hit the Doomsday Blockbuster. Otis breaks up that pin. Otis then tosses Dawkins out of the ring. They're trading shots. Otis then throws him to the barricade. Montez hits him with a penalty kick on the apron. Gable tries to suplex Ford back in. Instead, Ford reverses. Otis gets the tag in. Ford sends Gable out of the ring, hits Otis with some kicks, and he tries to body slam Otis. He picks him up and just hold him for a while, and then he just falls backwards. Otis is just covering him, and then Gable holds on to Montez's foot so he can't kick out. Alpha Academy get the win.
Yep. After that, we had a Tommaso Ciampa interview. He says, this all started because Dolph came to my home and he disrespected NXT. He says, I feel no pressure. Gladly take on Dolph any night of the week, Mondays included. Did you notice it was like he was given these lines? Like on NXT, I'm pretty sure he could just say whatever he wants to say. Yeah. But when anybody's just given lines, that's not an easy thing to do, and it's kind of obvious because he was searching for his lines a little bit.
He was, but I thought
Vince is probably breathing on him.
Or Pritchard.
Feet away. Yeah.
All things considered, though, I thought he did a pretty good job of delivering a promo that he didn't come up with himself.
I agree. I absolutely agree. It's just there is a distinct difference there. He says, and Bob Roode is just an added bonus. This is a tag match. He says, I knew just the guy to call to be my partner. Finn Balor steps in, smiles, says, Raw might be my home now, but I know where I came from, and I'll never forget stepping in the ring with Ciampa. He says, they may have stood toe-to-toe in the past, but let's start the road to WrestleMania by standing shoulder to shoulder.
And that match was next. And they got the win. Ciampa getting the pin on Bob Roode. The finish was pretty cool. So Ciampa hits a jumping knee on Roode, goes for a fairy tale ending. Roode tries to reverse that into a backdrop, but while he's trying to do the backdrop, Ciampa hits him with a sunset flip to get the win.
Yeah.
In terms of go-home math, doesn't look good for Ciampa on NXT tonight, but we'll see. Maybe we'll see Bob Roode on NXT. That'd be pretty cool.
I think that might be the case. We're going to get – this is a number one contender match, and Ciampa's already had that would be his third match against
Braun. Yeah, so
Breaker.
Dolph's going to find a way to win this fight because of Bob Roode.
And it's a great guy to put in there with Braun Breaker. Is Ziggler? He'll make Braun look great.
Yep.
After that, we had Miz TV with special guest, his tag partner. He says, before we get to my guest, he says, I want to talk to you about a realization I had on the way back from the chamber. He says, most of us don't know what it's like flying on a private jet. He says, you guys want the success I have. And so you look up to Ray. He says, despite our very obvious physical differences, he says, we both do whatever it takes to get ahead. And because the fans all want to be Ray, you guys look past all of his misconduct. He says, the fans yearn for Ray to succeed because it makes him feel better. Bit of a blah, blah, blah here. He says, he realized the fans are the ones that can't be trusted. And I said, I found a partner going into Mania, somebody I can relate to, somebody I can trust, somebody who comes from a fighting family, somebody who's very dashing, an athlete and celebrity. That he's interrupted by Ray. Ray says him and Miz aren't the same. He says, I don't know anybody in the back who would want to partner with you because nobody can stand you back there. He says, so whoever you found can go back to wherever they came from and give your Mania spot and give his Mania spot to somebody who deserves it. And Miz says, he says, you know what? I know what's best for this industry. He says, at our match of the chamber, I said it felt like a handicap match. So did I deserve to lose that? Did Ray deserve to win? Does Dom deserve a WWE contract, or did his dad get him one? And then Dom steps up, says, hey, man, my dad brought me into this business. I'd sitting there front row when I was 7 years old. I know what it takes to be superstar. It's just, I'm like, come on, son. Come on, get it together.
I know.
Get it together. You can do it. You can do it.
I know.
It's so lacking. So anyways, he gives Miz the business. Miz challenges Ray and Dom to a match at Mania. And then he introduces his partner, influencer Logan Paul. So crowd boos. Logan comes out. Yes. I'm just cracking up because this dude has got just the dumbest grin on his face. But he is the most confident dude out there.
Dude, he's got 10 times the confidence that Dom has when it comes to talking on a mic.
He does. And I think that's one thing that Ray really needs to work on with Dom is being out there and getting him on the mic and having him, I don't know if he needs some acting exercises.
I'll say this.
Being ridiculous or something. I don't know.
It took Ray a good number of years to sound like he was comfortable on the mic.
Yeah, that's
Some people,
true.
this takes a lot of time. Some people, this takes time and it takes experience. Not just reps on the mic. That helps a lot. But I think just life experience.
Just being what I always say, the older you are, the better you're going to be on the mic because you know who you are.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with all that. Not everybody can be MJF. I get that. But I just think some confidence.
I know. He needs to come off as way more convincing.
Yeah. He always sounds nervous. So anyways, Logan comes to the ring. Dom says they accept the challenge. Miz and Logan talk some shit about Ray. They attack the Mysterios from behind. They throw Ray into the ring post and then do the same thing to Dom. Miz hits Ray with a skull-crushing finale, and then Logan hits one on Dom. And Logan actually made it look better than Miz.
I know. I would imagine
it was he kind of muscled him up. And,
he did, yeah. I would imagine this would be a situation where the Mysterios get the win here, and then Logan Paul turns on Miz at the end.
Yeah, WrestleMania Backlash. Logan Paul.
That's what's going to happen right now. Entirely possible.
Yeah.
Then we get an Alpha Academy interview. Gable, he's asked about the implications of the main event in terms of their own tag title match in 2 weeks. He says, I know what the implications are. I got a master's degree with an immaculate 4.0 and not from an institute like the University of South Carolina. He says, tonight's main event is disgusting. But at least RK Bro earned their shot. All that Seth and Kevin Owens did was complain. But if they get added to the match in a couple weeks, then Alpha Academy's chances of winning goes down to 33.333 and onward percent.
That was a funny little bit. 3333 and onward.
And onward. He says Otis hates math, but he loves winning.
Otis looked put off by that too.
I know. And he says in 2 weeks, winning is exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, that was funny stuff. Gable's doing such great work. I hope they don't end up like the Street Profits. Kind of on the outside looking in at all these put together tag teams.
I know. Then we got a Veer is coming promo.
This is different. He was in a hallway this time.
Yeah. So he's coming. He's coming from a hallway.
He's got a great voice too.
He does. He's really athletic. I'm excited for when he shows up and to see what they have for him. I know. Because right now apparently it's nothing.
It's nothing, man. It's nothing. After that, we had Rhea Ripley versus Nikki ASH. I had to do the thing. Lacey was there. She was like, "What does the ASH stand for?" I'm like, "Dear, fuck." Almost superhero. It doesn't even stand for almost a superhero.
No,
almost superhero.
Almost superhero.
And I'm like, "What?" She looks like a super. Why are they still doing that? Anyways, these two apparently they just think that these two work well together because they have another match that Rhea Ripley wins again.
Yeah, I think the idea is that Nikki's trying to prove the point because she went over the commentary during the match and started screaming at them that Rhea was the villain. I guess the idea is that she wants to keep having these matches to expose Rhea as the villain this whole thing, and then Rhea just keeps beating her. Clean, easily.
I love that you're adding some fucking motivation.
I'm just trying to find it.
Endless charade. It's just, you're right. I mean, that maybe that's how they would explain it. But I guarantee if we had something to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard on modern day WWE, Connor would say, why are they wrestling every single week?
So
they have good chemistry.
If they want to do that story, you'd think they'd add something to the matches week in, week out. But they don't. It's just the same one-on-one bout.
That's the thing. It's just because they got good chemistry. They can put on a good match together.
We're trying to make Rhea look strong.
You think I was missing that one?
Yeah. So this is when commentary mentions about Lashley having to clear concussion protocol to make it to the Madison Square Garden match against Lesnar. Undertaker Hall of Fame video package is next. We've seen this twice already. They're going to probably run this every week until the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Sad but true is a hell of a wrestling theme song. I've said that for a little while now, man. I'm glad they used it for this.
Yes. And then we had, what was it here? Damian Priest defending the U.S. Championship against Shelton Benjamin. Unfortunately, Shelton Benjamin doesn't win many matches of late. He lost this one too. Cedric tried to help him out. Didn't work. Priest hits a reckoning to get the win. Then he takes the mic. He puts over Shelton. It's weird. He says he's one of the few who came out here and fought me like a man, despite Cedric trying to help Shelton win. I know. So anyways, he's talked about everybody he's beaten. They're all serious fighters, serious athletes. He says, but Mania season, I want my next opponent to be world championship caliber. Finn Balor comes out. He says, you want a serious athlete, serious fighter, or world championship caliber opponent? Sounds like you're talking about me. I'll see you next week.
You want somebody you can win easily against? Sounds like me. I'm enhancement talent now. I'll give everybody the rub. After that, we had, oh, God, there's so much written here about this 24/7 stuff. So anyways, we had a Reggie promo. He said, wait, did I actually miss? I know I watched most of this 24/7 stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the promo, I think it just went in one ear out the other.
The Reggie one? So he's like, hey, Dane, I want you to come out to the ring. So she does. And it says, I was always very supportive of you winning the title, and I cared for you, and maybe I wanted us to be more than just friends, but that's all you wanted, for us to be friends, and that's fine. And he says, last week I took advantage of the situation, took an opportunity, and it left me with a horrible feeling in my stomach. Talking about rolling her up to win the title.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I want to apologize. I want to show you that you mean so much to me. And so he calls for a ref to come down the ring, and he just lays down in the ring and says, come on, pin me. And so she covers, and he kicks at it too. And he's kind of laughing about it, saying, oh, sorry, it's just out of habit. And he's like, go ahead and do it again. And so she covers him again. He kicks out again. Mm-hmm. And again, makes some excuse why he did it. And then he says, do it again. And then she does, but she kisses him this time. And this time he stays down and she wins the championship.
Yeah.
And so then the 24/7 division runs out. Dana and Reggie kind of fend everybody off for a bit. They knock Tozawa off the apron. He falls in Tamina's arms. He's looking for a kiss. Instead, she drops him.
That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
And then Tamina ends up chasing Reggie and Dana through the crowd.
You know, this is dumb stuff, but sometimes it does actually make me laugh.
Yeah.
Like I look at him like, oh, it's like an old school kind of madcap romantic comedy type shit, you know?
Yeah.
At least, you know what? At least it's better than that like 2-year period of them just running through matches endlessly. Yeah. I mean, it's something. Whatever. Anyways, after that, we had a Bianca Belair promo. She faces off against Becky Lynch in this particular segment. She says she's going back to WrestleMania. She said, last year I made a history walking out of the main event. SmackDown Women's Champion. She said, this year I'm ready to run it all the way back. She said, but this year it's for the Raw Women's title against Becky. Said, first I need to give it up to all the women in the chamber. Match with me. They're all tough, especially Doudrop, who I'm facing tonight. But there can only be one toughest est. She says, I'm the ST of WWE, but I'm also the hardest working woman in WWE. So I've been working nonstop for this moment. So if you think I'm about to let it up now, because in 6 weeks she's going to show Becky that you can't spell WrestleMania without a little E-S-T. And it's right there. It's after the first 2 letters. It's E-S-T. It's right there.
W-R, and then the next 3 letters are
E-S-T.
E-S-T.
E-S-T. That's right.
That's right. Becky comes to the ring. She's like, congratulations for making it back to the big time. He says it doesn't get any bigger than having the only 2 women who have ever won a WrestleMania main event going one-on-one. So I like they're building up the history of this match.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
It's great. It says, but don't forget the reason you were able to main event Mania in the first place, because I did it first. And Bianca says, yeah, you did do it first, but I did it better. And Becky says, well, if I remember correctly, I walked out of WrestleMania 35 as Becky 2 belts, and one of those title, the Raw title, I've been holding ever since, and no one has beat me for it in 3 years. The other title, 6 months ago today, so happy anniversary, I beat you for it in 26 seconds. And Bianca says, Becky, you love bringing that up, that win, like I wouldn't forget it. And Bianca says, oh, I know you wouldn't forget because you like bringing it up and playing the victim. And Bianca says, no, I could have done that after SummerSlam. I could have tucked my tail and went away, which is exactly what you wanted. But I actually listened to you. You told me to get to the back of the line, which is what I did. And then I was the sole survivor of Survivor Series. I won the chamber match, and I did it all without making any excuses. She says, no, I'm not the victim. And Becky says, you're right. You're not the victim. I am. Before you came along, Bianca, the people loved me. I was the man of the people. But I came back, she says, I came back at SummerSlam to a hero's welcome because I beat you, Bianca. They turned on me, and because now that they despise me, I despised you. She continues, says at Elimination Chamber, you saw what I did to Lita, someone I loved. So, Bianca, imagine what I'm going to do to you, someone I despise. Says, this isn't your redemption story, Bianca. This is mine. And then Bianca says, what? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You finish up here.
So Bianca says, well, if you want to play the victim, how about I just make you my victim tonight, essentially.
Yeah.
Saying she's going to beat her up.
You know, dude, the thing that I like about this is it's long and it's talky, but it's necessary because they're outlining what has actually happened since SummerSlam. They've actually booked this pretty well. And it doesn't have to be like they're always around each other, near each other, and twists and turns and stuff. It's just, this is wrestling. It's, you lose and you learn from it and you go back and you beat a bunch of people and then then they do this. Yeah, go ahead.
You win or you learn from it. So you win or it's wins and
learns.
Yeah.
It's like a very smart man.
This wisdom from Christian that we keep on repeating.
Well, I'm sure he got it from
over
somebody.
and over.
I'm sure he just
the first
stole
time
it
you
from
really
somebody
heard
else.
it articulated in such a way is from, future Hall of Famer Christian.
I think
so
I saw
give
it
him
like in a
props for that.
Garfield. I think I saw it like in a Garfield comic strip once. But
who said it?
but no.
Was it Garfield or was it Odie?
It was John. Hey, look at that.
I don't imagine John would. I don't think John would have said that.
There's some chemistry there. No, but dude, here's the thing. Anybody who's like, this isn't long term, but I don't know what people want.
I don't know what. If this isn't long term storytelling, I don't know what it is.
If this isn't that, what do you expect?
I know.
Like, what do you think long term storytelling is? When they do something right, you give them credit. We bitched at the beginning of the episode about how much filler's on a Raw. You bitch about it when it sucks, but when they do something right, you give them credit.
Give a thumbs up. You do. So anyways, Doudrop comes out. She's got a match against Bianca next. Becky goes join the commentary for this particular bout. Bianca and Doudrop got awesome chemistry. They always deliver in the ring. Always.
Doudrop is so fucking good.
She is.
Because the shit that Bianca, and by the way, when you see Bianca Belair practically running with Doudrop on her shoulders, it's nuts. And you're like, oh my God, please knees, don't blow out. Don't blow out. Mm-hmm. Doudrop does everything. I would assume, I'm not a wrestler, but I know it takes two to get this stuff done right. And like Doudrop knows how to like help Becky get her up there and all this stuff. Doudrop is so good and Bianca is so good, and they both make each other look like $1 million. Mm-hmm. I love both of them.
They're great. Some great spots in this. Bianca hits Doudrop with a power bomb. So sorry, rewind a little bit. Doudrop's looking for a Vader bomb. Instead, Bianca gets up, slams her head in the top turnbuckle, hits a power bomb off the top rope, and then falls with the KOD to get the win. Again, that's another stellar match between these two. Highly recommend going to check it out.
Absolutely, yeah. After that, we have an Edge promo. He brings his chair out, plunks down. He wants a WrestleMania. That's just this. He just wants a WrestleMania promo. I mean, a WrestleMania
match. Yeah, this is all him talking about why he wants a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, he goes back in time. He talks about his first Mania being at 14. He says, it took me 2 more years to get on the card. He says, I needed to put on a performance. I knew I needed to put on a performance that would elevate my career, and I did it. He says, but I understood the stakes. Every year I was going to have to outdo myself. He talks about 17. He says, against 2 of the greatest tag teams of all time. He says, maybe on the greatest card of all time. He says, we stole the show there. At 2000 is when they did the... was that was actually just a ladder match, wasn't it?
It was Edge and Christian and the Hardys and Dudleys. Yeah, I think it was just supposed to be a ladder match.
And then at SummerSlam they did TLC, and I think they did TLC again at
17.
17, yeah. But I remember you said that too, because you were at the 2000. You said that was the only memorable thing about
that. Was by far the most memorable thing about that show. Yeah, it was that match.
Yeah,
far and away. It's not even close.
Yeah. He mentions at Mania 21, of course. The first Money in the Bank ladder match. 22, putting Foley through a flaming table, stealing the show then. 24 in the main event against Undertaker. He came so close to ending the streak. At 27, he said, I fought what I thought was going to be my last match. He says, got a lot of people that would be, for a lot of people that would be enough, but not for me. So I busted my ass for 10 years to get back to Mania. He says, last year I main evented again. He says, for 38 years, Mania has been the stuff of dreams. He says, every year I still dream about Mania. Mm-hmm. He says, what it's going to feel like to stand in the ring and get the crowd's energy so I can feel phenomenal. And he literally winks. He says, at Mania, he makes everything around him better, so he steps up to the challenge. He says, you got to fight your inner demon to become undeniable. He says, at Mania, you can't call Mania stupendous without me. As much as I need Mania, Mania needs Edge. He says, I'm laying out a challenge to everyone in the locker room. I need somebody to step up to prove yourself. Stand across the ring from someone who's still the best, certifiable legend. He's so great. They got that close-up on his face and so grizzled. He says, you fight me at Mania, and I'll make you live forever.
Live forever.
He said, so step up. I'll be waiting.
It's a good promo.
Yeah, it's a good promo.
It's a good promo. And
then good talker.
It was
9 talker.
Yeah, he is a great talker. Then we had our main event, RK Bro versus Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Mentioned at the beginning of the show, this match was awesome. Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, great team. They wrestle with urgency. That's one thing I can say. They wrestle with urgency.
They do. I like the bit on the outside when Randy was about to hit Seth with
that was fluid.
He's about to hit Seth with the back suplex to the table, and Kevin Owens gets Seth out of the way. So Randy just lifts up Kevin Owens, does what he had planned to do in the first place.
It was so seamless. There was that instance and another one later on where they're both in peril, and Seth just saves himself. It was the double draping DDT where Seth escapes it. Makes no effort to help Kevin Owens get out of it.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens eats it. And the finish of this was awesome. So Riddle hits Kevin Owens with a floating bro. Seth tags in. So Riddle, I imagine, doesn't see the tag, looks for an RKO on Owens. Instead, he's caught by Seth while he's jumping for the RKO. Seth hits him with the buckle bomb. Owens follows with the stunner. Seth hits the stomp to get the win. Awesome match. They got a lot in like 13 minutes.
It was boom, 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 boom at the end there. It was awesome.
This was a lot of fun. Really fun match. And it was kind of a twist on the normal formula they use for RK Bro matches, where the middle section, it was Orton that was getting isolated for a good stretch. Usually that's Riddle's role.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got some questions here on the Patreon, patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Before we get started with these questions, I want to give a quick shout out here. Got some new patrons. Raymond Weaver, Matthew Laporte, and Derek Davis.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you
for your support. We appreciate it. First up, we've got the Yellow Flash asks, what are the odds Becky and Bianca main event night 2? I'm going to throw this to you. What are the odds they main event night 1? Because night 2 is going to go Roman Brock. We know that.
Yeah.
That's zero. That's not going to, yeah.
They should. They should. At
they
the
totally
very
should.
least, main event night 1. That's the story with the longest build. Because I think that started before Brock even came back, if memory serves.
Sure. Yeah.
That should at the very least main event night 1.
Yeah.
It's probably not gonna, because in WWE's Ronda is the household mainstream name, and so she's gonna be the main event at night 1.
I wonder, Vince often just goes by his gut on things. And like the conventional wisdom would dictate that Ronda's the bigger name outside of WWE. But man, for longevity's sake.
Well, especially with the story of their story of being the two women who have won main event matches at WrestleMania. Have it in the main event.
Yeah.
It feeds into the story.
Yeah. And I don't buy it. It's funny because everybody's talking about main eventing. Like, I'm pretty sure, didn't Bianca and Becky mention that they're going to be in the main event? Yeah. But I don't like that. I don't buy that stuff. It's like there's at this point there's 2 main events.
Yeah.
You get the last match of night 1 and you get the last match of night 2.
Those are the main events. Whatever closes the show is the main event.
Yeah.
We got a sub here, Mark Hay 45. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We got some questions here as well on our stream.
Soak and Rose asks, should the women's tag titles be dissolved? I think as long as you're going to replace them with like a women's mid-card title, then yes, I absolutely think that should be the case. I think both Raw and SmackDown should have a women's mid-card title.
If they're not going to do anything consistently interesting with the women's tag division, and by that I mean come up with interesting stories, actually have tag teams.
Yeah.
Not just people paired together for short stories and then have them break up. Actually have tag teams.
That's the problem. That's absolutely the problem, is that they just ram people together in the mid-card and put the tag titles on them, and that's your mid-card division title. Yeah. And it doesn't work.
No. Alistair 1984 says, love your work, guys. On behalf of me and 95% of wrestling fans, thank you for putting up a WTV for us to keep up to date without the painful, draining experience. Lol, hope to see you on Quizzlemania soon. Love you, friendos. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Eddie Brock's Venom, what do you think of that new Corey and Carmella YouTube show that they got?
No, I'm not going to watch it.
I'd say this. It would be a much bigger selling point for me, because I honestly think that they're both very charming and funny people, and they're both very beautiful people. It's less interesting for me to hear them just spout off every sexual innuendo in the book. It's funnier to me to portray them as like real people, because real people are, their shit stinks. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that aspect to me makes for better comedy when you have two people who look like they should be in I don't know, catalogs or something, because they're beautiful. You make them real,
Yeah.
And therein lies the comedy. Them just talking about fucking all the time.
It's awkward. It's so awkward.
It's just, yeah, it's like it doesn't really come off as genuine.
No.
But I think they're probably really funny. They're actually legitimately funny people. And I think that the comedy is always in the mundane.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yes. Jaime Fonseca, what's better, Stone Cold Hell Yeah What as a special guest ref for the KO and Rollins tag match for the Raw titles, or a match against Owens? What's better? I mean, WWE would answer the match.
What would you prefer to see? Stone Cold reffing Owens versus Rollins, or Stone Cold versus...
No, it would just be the tag team title match. It wouldn't just be Owens versus Rollins.
Well, yeah, which would you rather see?
After last night, I want to see Owens and Rollins contend for those tag titles.
There you go.
That's what I'd like to see. I'm most of that's because I'm really pessimistic that Stone Cold's going to come back for a match.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but
Trying to get that bag, son. I'm in my golden years. If Goldberg could do it, so can I. Next bitch.
Nick Kyle says, just made a new friendo at work. He's also a pro wrestling fan. He hates Happy Corbin. He says he and I can't remember the last time someone kicked out at the end of days. Can you name wrestlers on the main roster who did? No, because it's a really protected move.
I don't think anybody has.
It is an insanely protected move. Let's see here.
White Brownie asks, if both Bailey and Asuka are able to return before Mania, where do you see them on the card? I honestly don't know. They might wait and have them come back the Raw or SmackDown after.
Bailey and Sasha should tag team against like the Bellas. They should do like a Legends tag team thing, because I think they would all want that.
Mm-hmm.
Asuka should wait till after Mania, because I don't think there's anything for her to do. Xavier Gray says, when are Orton and Riddle finally going to start feuding with one another?
I would imagine they might try to rush that in to get it started at Mania, but I would think if they end up losing the tag titles at Mania, after that, build that up for SummerSlam.
I think we're going to see that match at SummerSlam. So in the build to that is when we're going to see it.
Yep. Call Me Sir Vic says, shout out to Angelo Dawkins' performance last night. Guy is underrated. Yeah, he is.
He's really good.
He is really good. He is really good.
Let's see.
Solid Dante, what do y'all think that sparked Raw to step up and be more entertaining? I think they got some more interesting characters first and foremost. Seth and Kevin Owens together are great. RK Bro's been doing good work for a long time. Alpha Academy is a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's just a matter of everything coming together, and it working. Like that stretch when Big E was champion and we thought Kevin Owens was on his way out, because he was kind of acting like he was on his way out. He was acting like he was checked out. And then a bunch of stuff changes rather. And you've got a much more interesting Kevin Owens. Mm-hmm. You've got more people just doing more things. There's less redundancy, seemingly. And Brock as a champion just really works.
Yeah.
We answered this yesterday, but I'll revisit it really quick. Mayor of Planet Houston wants to know, what was the point of Bobby winning at the Rumble? The point was motivating storyline Brock to getting to title versus title against Roman. Roman had rejected the idea of title versus title. Brock needed to force the matter. And so when he lost that title, his only recourse at that point, gets into the Rumble. Now he faces Roman, but he wants to get his title back so he can do his original idea of title versus title. So it was a not too convoluted, but a kind of convoluted way to get title versus title.
I mean, they could have accomplished the same thing by having Lesnar retain against Lashley, just having him come out and win the Rumble.
Yeah, they could have. Jaime Fonseca says, but then the problem with that is, I mean, they could have. They could have. It's wrestling. You could do anything.
They could have.
I feel like this is one instance where they were trying to aim for something logical. And the WWE champion entering the Rumble, I feel like they might have thought that wasn't as logical as him needing to win the Rumble to get to there. Because he's already champion. Like, what does he care? Jaime says, could this Ciampa and Finn team up become a Y2 AJ type feud where they break up just in time for a match at Mania? Probably not. I would like that, I think, but even though that it's 2 nights, there's not a lot of room.
Yeah, still 4 hours, 3.5 hours each night.
Unfortunately, I feel like Finn is more likely to be in the Andre Battle Royal.
Maggie says at this point, if they, Bianca and Becky, don't main event, they should open the show. I feel like that's how the de facto... that's now the de facto big spot since Lesnar did it with Rollins. She says, I'm sure there are earlier examples. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, the opening bit. Yeah. Let's see here. Wizard of Smoke. What percentage would WWE? What's the percentage that WWE will actually be successful in developing Veer into a character that will be around in 5 years?
I mean, they haven't done much so far.
Doesn't look good.
3 months that he's been waiting to come on Raw. Or sorry, come to Raw.
No, you had it right the first time. God damn, I'm still laughing about that Garfield bit. I was waiting for that. I thought you were going to say John. He threw it right to me.
Yep. Dangam Q, should Seth modify whatever title he wins to match his suits? Yes. New strap every week.
Absolutely. Here we go. Patrick Sparks. B-Man. Don Wagner. Come Tuesday. Hey, friendos. Pat here. What 4 women's wrestlers from AEW would you pick to have singles matches with each one of the 4 horsewomen? Becky versus Britt Baker.
Yeah.
Right? Charlotte Jade Cargill.
Good.
Who am I missing? Bailey and
Sasha.
Bailey and Sasha. Sasha and Thunder Rosa is how I would go.
Good.
And then Bailey.
Bailey and Sheeta.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Bailey or even Serena Deeb. Bailey, I feel like is like the best, to me, in my eyes, the best like pure wrestler of the 4 horsewomen. Yeah, those are all good. Those are good. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll be back tonight for our NXT recap. Thanks for watching. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.